are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York. This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
Good afternoon. This is Tony Rogers, your host for Urbanology, the Art of War. And as many of you know, but for the new listeners, my birth name is William Anthony Rogers. And for many years, I taught and I still write about the Sun Tzu classic, The Art of War. So it's kind of a play on words, Urbanology, the Art of War. I have a great deal of pleasure every second Tuesday of the month to work with my dear friend Charlene De La Cruz, who is from the Columbia University CU Grow program. She at Soul City and Columbia and City College and Columbia have been working together for many years dealing with MWBE programs through WHCR and now through Soul City, and in some cases WHCR still. There's a lot going on. As you know, the MWBE conference just took place October the 6th. But the second Tuesday of the month, I have the opportunity to talk to Charlene because there's so much work that is happening and will happen for the next at least 10 to 20 years at Columbia University. Charlene is the person that if you are MWBE, especially in my position of looking at Black and Hispanic business persons, because they tend to always be overlooked in many cases, even through the MWBE program. So I like to focus on them. And Charlene deals with all of the MWB and business persons, small business persons who are interested in doing work at Columbia. So I'm always happy to share time with her. And I would like for those who have not seen our show on the second Tuesday of the month and don't know Charlene, I'd like to introduce you to her. Charlene de la Cruz, the director of the CU Grow program, among other things. Charlene, as we were talking offline, has her foot in many other projects. She was wondering how she could still stand, but Charlene is, I can't begin to tell you how impressed I am with you and how you have handled your many portfolios at Columbia University. And words will not actually explain that. So, for those who are interested in doing certain types of work at Columbia University, uh, Charlene is one of the first people you need to talk to, because if you have a business that's a real business actually, and it doesn't necessarily be in engineering, but she's the person. How are you doing, Charlene?
I'm doing well. Thank you for that amazing introduction, Tony. I I always feel just kind of like just blessed to be here with you and just do the outreach, that's really needed for diverse businesses to understand what resources are out there for them to have. Being the manager of the CU Grow Vendor Development Program has allowed me to kind of understand the positions of different diverse businesses and kind of like support them in those gaps areas. So I will say that it's not all me. I have a lot of support in the effort. So with the CU Grow program, we have our amazing expert coaches that have so much knowledge in different areas of industry. We have our great team with lead Tanya E. Pope. She's definitely the pioneer of all the work that we're doing. So I can't do that without her.
Well, again, as I always mention, Laverna Fountain was the first person who um, came together with me to say we need to allow for people to know who to contact, especially MWBEs for Columbia. And she then said, "Well, Tanya is the person that I go to," so Tanya became my host. And then Tanya said, "Well, Charlene is the person that I go to." So, and Charlene, I have to tell you, and I'm saying it on the screen, it's been a pleasure working with you, more so than any. Even though I respect Tanya and I respect Laverna, and they paved the way, but you are in a class of your own, my dear.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that, Tony. I definitely want to make sure that we're supporting you and that we're giving you the resources of a good show. And again, we want to support the Harlem community because this information is out there, and we just want to support you guys with anything that you need. So I always kind of like I am available. I could put my email on the chat so that anyone has questions or needs direction with anything, they can always reach out to me via that email, and I can always connect them to any of the call. If I cannot help them, I definitely will work to connect them with the right contact for the resources that they're needed. Um,
And that's important for people to know, and why this particular show, which is also posted on the Harlem Tourism Board Facebook page, as well as the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce Facebook page. And the reason why it's important is that Columbia will be building for the next at least 10 to 20 years at least. So there's generational wealth in having a contract or a business at Columbia University, because uh, the work is going to continue. There's things that haven't even started yet that will entail a lot of work. And not only that, is the upkeep of what's happening. The campus is expanding uh, along 12th Avenue and throughout the locations, but there's also the campus that has to be kept together. I wish I had a contract for toilet paper or something like that, because you
no,
know
it's a huge endeavor. I'm very proud that we we're able to connect with so many different types of vendors. Like, not only did we work with the CU Grow Vendor Development Program, which is one of the programs that is sponsored and supported by Columbia University, we had the great opportunity to deliver a project which is called the Ascend Regional Program. And through that project, again, we were really developing an ecosystem for diverse businesses to work directly with specific opportunity partners to support them in their efforts on contracting, making sure that they're pre qualified. And I will say that within the Columbia Business School, right at the start of opening, like, it's already constructed and handing the key over to Columbia, we need to clean this building. And we were able to source one of the cleaners to do that for the Columbia Business School, and he was one of the participants of the Ascend Regional Program. So it really is helpful how these things work and how things happen. And again, it's all about the great opportunity. And I don't know if you know, Tony, like through the CU Grow Vendor Development Program, I host procurement events. So I invite our alumni, I invite our current participants, I invite our colleagues to present on opportunities that are happening down the pipeline. And a few procurement events ago, one of our participants was there, and Tanya knew about an opportunity that was happening, and she asked him, like, can you do this work? And he said yes. And we were able to connect him to, the owner of that project that was sourcing for painting. And he did everything that he was supposed to do, and he was awarded that contract. And that's something that came out of the program. So it's about being prepared and being ready for the opportunity, because we can give you the opportunity, but if you're not ready and prepared to take it on,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to have it. So it's about being there and being willing and able to do the
But
work.
the interesting thing is that if you're not ready, there are other resources that you can utilize at Columbia to become ready. At
Yeah.
least you'll know what you need to do in order to become a contender, as they say.
Absolutely. And we support all of our firms through the CU Grow Vendor Development Program. And we also have other programs that we've partnered up with. I don't know if you remember the Columbia Business Community Program. It's actually housed out of the business school. And
Mm-hmm.
that's another great program that, it's actually been in hiatus since the pandemic. And I think that they'll be approaching back to kind of like onboarding new firms
Mm-hmm.
for the 2023 cohort. So that's a great opportunity. It's almost like a master's degree level in terms of looking at your business. It's a 2-year program. It's doing an overview of every aspect of your business. It also has like a strategic growth plan aspect to it, but it is a more lengthier program as opposed to the CU Grow program, which is an 11-month program. This is
Mm-hmm.
generally a 2-year program. So there is other supports, and we have great relationships with other partners that are doing these capacity building programs. So it's not just the CU Grow. We have partnerships with Ascend NYC, and we also still have a partnership with the Ascend Regional Program. So that's why I tell people, still come with your questions, still come with your concerns, and based on the assessments that I make, I can direct you to the right resource.
Give the listeners a little bit more information about the Ascend program.
So there's I will say it's called Ascend City. So Ascend Cities is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase. And really the goal of Ascend Cities is to contract $1 billion to minority owned businesses. And by doing that, there are different cities that are collaborating to this effort.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Ascend City. It's really an umbrella. There's so many different types. There's Ascend LA, there's Ascend Atlanta, there's the Ascend NYC. And then we just did the Ascend Regional, which is kind of like encompassing the New York, New Jersey, and Long Island. So we kind of like really tied in together to create a more higher level of programming. And again, the Ascend Cities is really supporting all aspects of diverse businesses, and it doesn't necessarily have to be construction. It could be any type of business. It's about supporting those businesses to reach contracting ability. So we really want to support them and create, because a lot of times people have this dream to have their own business, and they have the dream to create generational wealth, but they don't have the resources to do it. They may not know that they have to be certified as a diverse business. They may not have um, the ability to get contracting, so they may need some collateral loans to help them with those contracts. So really, Ascend Cities is there to support them on all levels of creating a strong foundation for their business.
Now, the Ascend Cities sounds a little bit like See You Grow with some of the programs that are already at Columbia University. Where does it differ? I know that you're working together, but is there overlap there, or what is the difference in
So
what?
the difference is for the See You Grow program, we really work just with building trade services. So we work with any type of trades that takes to build a building, maintain a building, renovate a building. Those are the types of trades that we work with the See You Grow
All right.
program. With the Sun Cities, they really take all types of businesses. So the way that we've partnered is really just reinforcing that pipeline of creating and introducing new vendors to the university that they can utilize. So if they are contractors that are with the Sun NYC, that falls under that building trade services, we can introduce them. So it's again, it's just adding new paths to get into
Mhm.
a university, really.
Now, is the Ascend program? I know that their Harlem Parks to Park has a relationship with Columbia, where a lot of the entrepreneurs who have different types of products have been able to get contracts with Columbia University for their cafeteria or other types of facilities based on what their business relationship is.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that they're in Whole Foods and a number of other things too. Is that through a sin, or is that another program?
Oh, that's a whole other program. So that's called the Harlem Local Vendor Program.
Right.
And that's really working with, again, service providers that are within our catchment area. So as you know, Columbia University honors local by making sure that businesses resides within 17 zip codes, which is the north of 96th Street, river to river, all the way to Inwood. And then there's like four southern brown zip codes. So if your business resides within that area, you can qualify to participate in the Harlem Local Vendor Program.
Mhm.
And this is a great program because if you are in a business of providing service, and that doesn't necessarily have to be within food, it could be creams, it could be kind of anything that's industry that has to be packaged. You're going to learn about packaging. You're going to learn how to sell to other outsailers. So it's a really great program and it's all free. So everything that I talk about, it's always free. There's nothing that I'm going to introduce you that you're going to have to pay money for, because again, it's to build your capacity. And by not, if you want to invest in yourself in other areas, that's fine, but any resource that I offer is always going to be free. So I do have a few events that I wanted to kind of like shout out why I still have this time with you, Tony, because they are coming up soon, so I don't know if that will be okay.
That would be fun.
So we do have an event that's coming up, and I don't know if you remember Danielle Douglas. We've had
Yes.
her a few times. So this is the third rendition of the Black Business Owner Forum.
Hmm.
It's happening on October 13th. And it's a great event. And she does such an amazing job where she really infuses you with support from the city, the state, industry partners of how to maximize your business.
When is
So
that coming up? What's
it's
the
coming
date?
up this week, Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we always invite
I had
her.
her on the show.
We did have her in the show in the past, but our
And-
scheduling didn't really work to have her today.
right.
But the registration is still open
Yeah.
for
It's a
people
good
to.
program.
It's a great program. It's an all-day online conference for people to enjoy and understand. And you can actually meet other vendors. She has such a great way of infusing the event where
Mhm.
even though it's virtual, you can still connect with other people. You can chat. They have promotional prizes. They have raffles throughout the conference for other people to engage with one another. And I think it's a great way to just put your name out there as a business owner if you
Mhm.
want to connect with other people that maybe have some of the services that you have, and you can align yourself with that person. I think that's a great way to strategically partner with them. So I do welcome you to go to that event and just click on that link and participate, because it's a great event. I love it. It's such great powerhouse work that Danielle does.
Now, this will only be virtual. There won't be any live.
This will be virtual. So
Mhm.
it's not going to be in person. It's going to be virtual.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that's really I think that's the secret ingredient for Danielle to have such great powerhouse come in and enjoy in this conference, is by keeping it virtual.
Mhm. Mhm.
Maybe in the future she might have an in-person event.
Right. And now there are some other events you wanted to talk about.
Yes. So the next event that I had was actually something very interesting, that sometimes people don't necessarily talk about. And it's actually with the Association of Medical Facility Professionals.
Hmm.
They are hosting a conference on getting to know NWPEs to join in and service any construction work within their facilities. So really, this is looking at the healthcare industry and really supporting on their renovation construction needs within their facilities. The event is actually has a great component to it. You can actually register to the event. There is like a healthcare end user option that you can utilize to participate in the event. And again, it's a conference where vendors can put tables out and they can kind of promote their services and attract healthcare providers that are sellers, and they're looking to buy of your services to support their healthcare facilities.
Where would this event take place? And
So this
what's the
event is
date?
in person and is actually going to take place at the Club 101. So it's 101 Park Avenue,
Hmm.
and it's going to take place on October 20th. So you still have some time to register if you are interested. Again, this is a great way for businesses, general construction, electricians, things in that nature that can come to that event, introduce their services to these healthcare facilities that are really looking on improving their pipeline with diverse businesses.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And is there a contact information? I would one find that. Is it online?
Yeah, so if you click on that link, it takes you right to the event. Right there, you will see all the timing of the event, the types of exhibitors that they're looking for. There's also a contact there, and if you're interested, I can put the contact for that event.
Mhm.
Her name is Andis Woodley. She would be the person for you to connect with. If
Right.
you are a vendor that's interested on getting an exhibit at the event, please contact her. But if click on that link, and you'll find that information as there.
Hmm. Well, and that is not your current portfolio and the cohort that you're still working on. You're still putting those things together.
Yes.
Tell us about the See You Grow program uh, of the past and what's happening now, and probably what you look to see in the future with it.
So it's amazing to say that we've had been working with the CU Grow Vendor program now for 6 years. This is our sixth cohort, and we're
Six
coming.
years.
I know. I mean, I haven't been here for all of those 6 years, but it's their sixth cohort. And what we're doing now, we're preparing the firms on getting ready for their growth plan presentation. So for
Mhm.
them to do that, they will have to do a strategic growth plan. They will have to develop a presentation and introduce their plan to a panel of experts. It's one of my favorite events because our panel experts are really supported by our colleagues. They come in really committed to help them grow, help them understand how they're presenting their ideas. Is their ideas feasible? Is this something that's realistic? And I think a lot of those conversations are questions during those presentations. So that's why it's my favorite part, because, I've said this all along. Now you're going to hear it from somebody else too. Um, so So this is one of we're almost there. So this is going to happen in November, and we're getting them ready to that point. And then in December, that's when we do our graduation ceremony for those who successfully did their growth plan presentation. And right in the midst of December, I do recruitment again. So our website is still open. Like, you can still submit information. You can submit like an interest form if you're interested for cohort 7. You can still go to our website for that. And I will connect with you once our recruitment stage is happening.
So once you finish one, you're just starting another one.
Yes, that is true. And I think we have our guests logged in to. So if you wouldn't mind, like, I'll just share one more event that's happening, Tony.
Um,
Adding with
I never refuse you. So whatever you want to share, you can share.
I just wanted to
This
share
is all good information.
Yeah, so this is with Interrise. Interrise Connect has actually partnered with citizens, and they're offering a free webinar for small business owners on managing risk. As a small business owner, you want to understand what your risks are and what's really the best business decision for you. So I just wanted to share that link there for our guests to just click into it. Again, it's a Zoom webinar, free, during lunchtime, just take in the information and hopefully you can apply to it. And if you're interested in working with Interrise, there's information there on that website too.
When you talk about risk, are you talking about from litigation, or are you talking about what exactly are you talking
It's
about?
really looking at all aspects of risk. It is kind of looking at litigation and also protecting yourself. We've hosted events at the CU Grow program where we actually partner with the Columbia Law School. We talk to them about looking at a contract, understanding all the elements of the contract, understanding elements that can't be negotiated. And that was very helpful for a lot of the firms because they didn't know that they could do that and whatnot. And then there's some contracts that there's no negotiation. This is the contract, you take it or not. And again, that's your business decision if you want to do this or not. But you have to be responsible and ready to take on if things go sideways.
Who's the new or is the current director, I guess I should say, of urban policy, urban affairs for Columbia University?
I will have to look into that one, Tony. I don't know if I know off the top of my head.
Okay, send me a text. I'm looking at many years ago while I was at City College. I created a partnership between Columbia University and City College to provide technology, information technology uh, workshops and options for community people. And I'm looking at doing that again, creating a special type of a website
Okay.
that that partnership could help as far as working with my hat as the president of the Harlem Tourism Board to create a porthole for Harlem where people can have like a one-stop shop. And I thought that besides the public sector, the it was called the Harlem Partnership Center, and we taught computer. We were the first to begin to come together. We did a conference at City College, and we created an awareness of the digital divide at the time. This was I think the early '90s.
Wow.
So, but we've gone a long way, and I'm looking at the possibility of seeing whether or not there's interest in doing something like that. So offline, you probably can give me some contacts of what might be able to
Absolutely,
help.
absolutely. We're happy to help you on, anything that you need. So just before, our time runs out, I do want to introduce our guest of the hour. His name is William Diaz. He is the president and owner of ESC Cabling.
Mhm.
Um, William has been a person that's been in our realm for so long. He was actually one of the participants at the very, very start when Columbia University had a mentorship program.
Mhm.
Um, came back to us as a girl coach. And we've now had another path that we added on to our partnership. He is a current participant and graduate of the Ascend Regional Program because we just finished
Okay.
last month. So, William, welcome to the show.
Welcome, William.
Hello, how you doing, Tony? I gotta say, just to piggyback on what you mentioned just a little while ago, the digital divide. Well, I'm sorry, my name is William, and besides the work that we do for the company, which I'm sure we'll talk about here today, as a corporate, we have some corporate responsibilities,
Right.
and we're always giving back to the community. We've helped out with programs like the one that you're talking about. Right now, we're partnered with Block Power to help people in the gun violence hubs to get the education in electrical and Wi-Fi training. But that
Wow.
digital divide that you were talking about, uh, people think that it went away, and when we just had the COVID, we saw that it was really, really worse
Yeah.
than we actually thought. uh,
Yeah.
One of the projects that we did, both paid and unpaid, during COVID was to go into buildings and set up the Wi-Fi. Some of them had money to pay us, some of them didn't. We donated computers, we donated cell phones, we donated laptops, because there were so many people that didn't have. The second thing is that some people think that operating on a mobile device is equivalent to operating on a PC. Still, it's not the same. So when we talk about the digital divide, now it's actually kind of two tiered. There's the people without technology because they can't afford it, and there's the people who understand a limited level of technology and need to actually get promoted or learn more about it to the next level. So that is something that's really important to me. Obviously, I'm in technology. It's important to me, uh, uh, and one of the things that we work in our ESG plan um, to help with.
Tell us a little bit about your business and what services you render and who would be your target.
You know what? Thank you for that. And I'm sorry, I get. I'm a youth from the neighborhoods, right? My family is from both East and West Harlem. My
Okay.
grandmother was right there from the South Street, 75 to South Street. So I grew up in the shadows of both.
Is
both
that the Grant Projects?
Yeah, grand projects, exactly.
Well, I
Um,
grew up on Convent Avenue, so
Right. So you understand, to
yeah.
me, that is my world. My sisters went to Columbia. I went to CCNY. I went to the school that you're at right now. I graduated with a BA in economics, and
When did you go to City
uh,
College?
from 1992 to 2002, I was a part-time student and
I was
finished.
there at City College then. I was the advisor, what, of five presidents of the City College of New York,
Wow. Okay. Okay.
the
Well,
Urban Affairs Office. So
I'm sure that we passed
probably.
paths. But so back to the company. ESC Cabling is a technology company that has an emphasis on low voltage cabling. And so we've been in business for 20 years this
Wow.
October. 20 years. Can you believe that?
Congratulations.
Uh, and our office is in the South Bronx. So we've been about a Bronx-based business our entire life. And our customers, we have a couple of different verticals. One of our main verticals is property management. So
Hmm.
property management looks like Class A, Class B, and colleges, or uh, and we work in those places for the management companies, typically the facilities teams. Uh, doing any type of work that they want, and that's going to be AV systems, that's going to be security systems, that's going to be BMS systems, or the cabling portion of BMS systems, and of
Wow.
course, that's telecom.
That's interesting. So, and this is all types of, I guess, the housing. Do you have work with some of the housing development? Uh,
That's a great question. We have done some work with housing. Actually, we do half and half. Half of our work is for public sector. The other half is in private. So
mhm.
we do work for the colleges. But our very first experience with doing work for the public sector was for NYCHA, and we were working with the community housing department. And basically, what they have is 62, or at the time 62 community centers around New York, and what we were doing was going to each one and upgrading them. We were giving them permanent cabling for their computers, and so we were running the cabling, installing the computers and everything, building labs for them.
Mhm. Did
And
you
from
go ahead? I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, from there, we looked at other opportunities, but we not really won many other opportunities with NYCHA. But we're always open to more work with them.
With you were in the Bronx, so did you? Since your business was 20 years old, I guess did you ever run cable for the cable? When cable was in before we got into more
Uh-huh,
digital.
uh-huh. A lot of people think that we're on that side of the business, like the cable vision optimum side of the business. And no, but that's where I started my career. So I'm in this business 30 years, and I was one of the first 100 employees at Cablevision right there on Soundview Avenue. I say that to people, and they're like, "What? When was that?" But yes, believe it or not, I lucked up to get into this field. When I went to City College, I went to the job office and I said, "Hey, I'm 18 years old. I moved out of my parents' house. I need some work. What do you have?" And they said, "Hey, we got this little company that just opened up in the Bronx. They need some salespeople. You should go over there." And I went, and that little company was Cablevision. 900 Soundview was where everything was.
Yeah.
Uh, and they I was, like I said, my employee number was like 93. I was like 93. And my goals and aspirations at the time was to get into the MIS department. So, now technology is different than then, but they didn't have IT
Yes, it's a lot
department.
different.
They had MIS department because we were still really kind of dictated by software. Um, and so, I ended up there. I moved around, and then when I got let go, I went to Verizon, and I stayed on the telephone side. I moved from outside, which is ISP work, to
Hmm.
inside, over 27 years ago.
Hmm.
So I did 3 or 4 years between Verizon and Cablevision, and then I ended up with what we call a vendor and our premise contractor. There was an AV, excuse me, they were a phone integrator. So we did phone systems.
Hmm.
And I loved it. I loved the challenge of going into different sites and seeing different people and doing different things. Because when you're out and you're hooking up a phone line, you meet different people, but it's the same thing. You're putting a jack over here, you're turning on the TV over there. It's the same thing. But now you're going, and every single place is different because this room has 27 locations. This room has 55. This room is on the third floor. That room is on the first floor. This room is in the basement. They're all different, which creates a very unique challenge that keeps your brain moving consistently.
Well, I guess during the pandemic or plandemic, however you want to call it was probably um, an interesting time for you as relates to people having to go completely using the Zooms and all of those types of uh, communication mechanisms. And I'm sure that even as you were saying, even with the kids, how could they do online if they didn't have the broadband and the devices?
It was definitely a very interesting time because, you know, uh, before that, building owners, and building management never considered internet as a part of something that they would give out wholly to their buildings. And
Right.
during that time, that was something that they started to offer, and they just said, "Well, I can buy this whole thing, wire up the whole building, and I could raise everybody's rent $20 a month."
Hmm.
And they'll cover every single person rather than individually they get something, they'll pay 100
Right.
to 150 each, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
um, so I thought that was a great thing. But secondly, the shift from business centric to individual centric was hard for us because for almost a year nobody was ordering our services, in a
Right.
sense, because no businesses were expanding or shutting down or anything like that. There was no movement.
Right.
So, it was tough. The only thing that kind of kept us afloat during that time was businesses, because they didn't know which way to move, they were trying to position themselves either way. So again, property management. So property management was saying, well, you know what? We think people are going to come back in, but they're going to want to feel safe and secure. So we need to put in sensors,
Mm,
air sensors. We're going to need to put in foot traffic. We need to put in temperature module, right? And
mm,
all of this is technology that's run off of cabling. So
mm.
it was us that was doing all of these projects and all of the buildings that we work at. So that kept us very busy for a year and a half.
Are you familiar with Silicon Harlem, Clayton Banks in Harlem?
You know what? Yes, I actually got to meet him through True Fund. Actually, just this year that just passed,
Yeah,
True Fund had a program, and I got to meet him. I've tried to call out and reach him. We're not exactly in line with each other, meaning that you
they're
know
having a major conference. If I'll ask Charlene to give us information, they're having a major conference coming up in October. Matter of fact,
that would
Clayton
be
was on the show last week,
that,
and
that would be
he's
wonderful
a
because
he's a he's a great contact, especially with the
absolutely,
city.
absolutely.
Especially with the city, he's a good contact. There are a couple of other brothers that was doing a lot of work in the Bronx. Stu Reed, I believe, and a couple of others who you probably would know because they were doing a lot of stuff before uh, digital came in, and then they started working with different housing places, putting in free broadband and things like that. They're still doing a lot of stuff. But what's how if someone needs what's your ideal client? If someone is watching this and they need your services and they're a business, who are the targets that you have that you would like to work with?
That's a great question. And really, and the simplest way to put it is that I have two different customers. Customer number one is a general contractor, right? Every place that's being built, they assign a general contractor or a construction manager to that
Hmm.
job, and that construction manager or GC would hire a company like mine.
Hmm.
That's number one. The second customers, like I said, will be facility managers. If you have in a you know, uh, high rise, class A, class B, class C building,
Hmm.
they're going to have certain needs that they have for the building, right? Like I said, the BMS systems, but the AV, the intercoms, the cameras, all of that work, the cabling plus the technology, we can do those. Facilities for any other, like institutional spaces, like a Columbia, right? We can work on the fiber plant. We can work on any of the other things that we mentioned. So really, like I said, the face of our two customers are facilities managers and property managers, as well as general contractors and CMs.
Have you done any work with your alma mater, City College?
You know what's crazy is that with the Cooney system, we've done tons of work at Hostos. We just completed our first job this year with Lehman. We've done a little job at BCC, but we've not done any work at City College.
Well, we
Uh,
have to try to change that. I'm working with the college. Matter of fact, WACR, which is the show, was at City College. I was there for a long time. I served five City College presidents. That's why I'm sure I was there when you were there. But you're an alumni, so of course, if they give you work, they're gonna want you to support them. But
Of course, of course. Look, all of a sudden, I'm going to get all of the alumni mail.
but
I feel it coming. I feel it coming.
But the bottom line is that Charlene will help conduct us afterwards, and I will uh, get at least let people know that you're an alumni and what you do, and if they are looking for work, that they should look at you. I'll be the advocate for you,
Well,
and
I thank you for that, sir. I thank you for
we'll
that.
talk about that offline. Charlene, I try to follow it, and she has a long line of people who are helping and I have the pleasure of working with her every second Tuesday, and I try to follow in her line. Matter of fact, Shirley, two of the people who were our last guests, Deb and Alexis, I'm the president of the Harlem Tourism Board, and we're talking about the new hotel, which is another contact the new Marriott hotel that's
Nice.
coming in, and he was doing a presentation, and of course I connected Deb to do some of the wayfinding stuff.
Oh,
That's what she is
amazing.
doing,
Nice.
and of course Alexis was already pouring cement with her kids there. So, but
Nice.
we have to. That's another contact also, William, the
Yeah,
hotel, because they're. I don't know where they are, but you might. We'll connect afterwards, so that you
I
could
will
meet
make sure of
the
it.
general manager there in
That would
case.
be wonderful.
It was always good for him to have some options
Yeah.
since I'm a city college grad also, so we have to look after each other. I grew up
Nice.
across the street from City College, and
What year did you graduate?
many years ago.
You know what? I take that back, Tony. Tony, I take
So-
that back. You know what? I did get to work at City College when they were building the resident hall. The TV network. I actually was a sub to get the antenna system working in that building. So I did work
Okay, all
there.
right, yeah, yeah, the dormitory out down on South Campus.
Yes, yes,
All
yes,
right.
yes, yes.
Yeah, and you might have came to some of the meetings because when I was there at that time, and I would host meetings for them to look at dealing with people of color to help build that structure as well as servicing it.
You know what? Definitely would have been because I was all over Skanska at the time trying to get a contract. Yep. So we probably would have run
Yeah,
into
you
each
used to have meetings at the cafeteria, in the NAC cafeteria. We would have workshops there, or either in the Great Hall. And it was interesting because when I created the continuing education program, we put this element of construction management there. And they would say, well, I don't know. People don't really want jobs. And when we advertised it, you know how big the Great Hall is. There was standing room only, and people couldn't get in to try to get into the Great Hall to find out about jobs. So
other.
uh, it's and that's people will work if they have the opportunity, and that's what Charlene, that's what you've proven, and that's why we like to have these types of programs to let people know that we're out there, and sometimes it's the marketing, you know.
Hmm.
There's an old saying: "If a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound?"
Does it make a sound?
And that's the same with us. That's why Charlene's work is so important, and I'm always happy to promote what she's doing because she brings on people. As I said, I've run across many of the people that we've interviewed, and I don't even remember them. And they say, "Yes, yes, yes, you interviewed me with Charlene." I said, "Okay." We've been doing this since
We
I don't
have
know how many years. This
we're
is
going on almost 4 years doing this. It's
and,
crazy.
and
You
even
know what?
before that, that was with
Hey,
Tanya, and then before that, it was with Laverna. So
I,
I
I,
guess
I,
it's
I have
uh,
to say that I feel honored that I'm a guest here. This is just 30 seconds for Charlene. I've gotten to watch Charlene grow from when she first started to where she is now, and see the level of responsibilities that she's taken in the growth of the firms that she touches, and as well as into other interactions with people in Colombia that she's helping groom behind her. So it's been wonderful for me to watch as she continues to try to help me. It still has been wonderful for me to watch her grow into the role that she is now.
well,
I
I can't say enough about her. She knows that if I wasn't old and she wasn't married, I would propose.
I'll take
Because
that as love too. I'll take that as love. I really appreciate you both. Doing this, I get very excited about it because again, I have the power to kind of like highlight a business that's really capable of doing so much amazing work. So that's one of the reasons why I get so excited. And again, supporting you, Tony, and Tony comes with such great guests that sometimes leaves me with my jaw dropped. I'm like, wait, what? That's amazing. So it's such a great effort, and I really appreciate it. But I do want to ask you, William, because I know that you do a lot of great cabling work, low voltage work, but you are also an educator. So I would love for you kind of just to kind of like expand on that in terms of how you do education through your work.
Thank you for that. And like I said, I feel like most people that come from the neighborhoods that I come from, that leave, don't often look back. And everybody in my life, as I came of age, kept saying to me, make sure you look back, make sure you give back. So I started the company in 2002. Since 2003, we've been giving back. We started at Mid Manhattan Adult Learning Center with our give back, and we've continued through the years. Our most current iteration of that looks like I mentioned earlier, we're working with Black Power, and the mayor of New York City decided to look at three areas of New York that had the highest gun violence, and said, well, we want to create a program that we get these people employed. So it's a 12-week program, and so my company is responsible for the first 8 weeks. So the first 4 weeks we get them all the safety training they need, and we get them associated with like a light carpentry class, and then the next 4 weeks they do an intense low voltage, a little theory on electrical, and some electronic training, and then they have 4 weeks of HVAC, which is not done with us. And so this program has running since last year, and so we're in our second year now. As a matter of fact, I just had an award ceremony. Um,
Congratulations.
Ah, congratulations.
I was voted the instructor of the year. Um, of their first premier year. So that's what it is. It's a wonderful program, and I know that they're always looking for enrollment. They're enrolling people from those three trouble areas in New York. That's the South Bronx, South Queens, and North Brooklyn. So if you live in any one of those areas, you should look it up. They pay you while you train. They place you out of work, and they pay you while you're training to work.
We should try to get one in Harlem. There are a lot of people.
I
we
think that as they were looking at areas, they were looking at the ones that had the most
Yeah.
gunshots and gun deaths. Excuse me. And so far, since this program has been implemented, 28% down has been the death toll for gun violence. So it's showing some effect by getting
Well, again,
people
as I was saying
off.
about the whole program that we were doing at the college about construction management, if there are opportunities for
Absolutely.
people, because many of the people who are, doing things is because there's no vision of how they can do something else. They're not going to be a basketball player. They're not going to be a rap artist. How can I make money and support my family
and,
and
and,
whatever?
and not just being a porter or a bus driver. How do I
Ex-
make good money? How do I move into that middle class? How do I get that double six-figure income? Yes, and this is the type of training that does that. We teach the people.
Well, we need to talk a little bit, and Charlene, you'll be the conduit. We need to talk a little bit more about that because a program like that should be in all of the boroughs because even though those are the ones that have had the most and probably the most need, but each borough has that type of situation, and maybe you can teach someone to do something at City College or continuing education program.
You know what? I would love to. I've worked at LaGuardia as well as New York City Tech. I would love to take any of the teachings that I've had, or that we did, and bring it over to CCNY, any adult learning program, whether it be safety or something in the trades. I don't
Well,
need that much sleep. It's more important for me to get the out to people, and get people working. And I got lucky. I say this all the time. I made a bunch of right turns in life, and I got lucky.
luck is if you luck only works if you are ready and prepared.
And I said, right. So I realized my luck, and I went with it, right. And I
Right.
feel like, you know I think that we could present this opportunity to people and show them that they have this chance, that, even if luck wasn't on their side when they were 17, 18, 19, now they have the opportunity to choose, to choose,
Well,
which
there
is
are a couple
what
of
many people don't.
contacts, at least so that they can know who you are, that we'll make. Charlene, you make sure that I get the website for William and all of his
Absolutely,
contact information,
absolutely.
which is right there on the screen. But you know me, you'll probably have to send it to me. But uh,
I
and,
will.
and and
Not
and we'll
direct.
figure out a way. I mean, it's. I'm sure that when we start talking, especially with the grand projects, I I went to PS43 at one point. It was that, that was running. So everybody who was there almost was from either the Grant Project or Manhattanville Project. So
Well, then, you know what? You might have went to school with my mother thereabouts.
probably, probably, that's how life is at this particular
Well,
point.
with you, Tony, I feel yes. He knows everybody. Tony knows everybody. I brought guests that he's met in another life, and it's always amazing to see it transpire. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, again, and thanks, Matt McCoy, for Soul City TV for giving us this forum, and this will be on the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce's Facebook page, so that might even also generate some sort of business because we have a lot of property over on 135th Street that always needs that type of work. So again, we should talk. We will talk after this. Charlene will make sure that we do this. And I'd like to thank everybody. Charlene, of course, you always excel. And I know how busy you are, which is why I'm always happy that you take this time because I know you, as they say, no good deed goes unpunished. So the better you are, the more people will come to you for
I
help.
guess.
But it's a good thing. And William, it's a pleasure. I'm sure that we'll connect. And there's some things hopefully can allow for you to do. And you're an alumna from City College, so you need to get some business there. So we'll talk about that offline. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Charlene.
Thank
Thank you, William, and of
you. Yeah.
course Matt McCoy, Soul City TV, and WACR 90.3 FM from the City College of New York. That's how through pandemic, I was happy to have Matt allow for me to keep our conversations going as relates to this second Tuesday. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll be back next week talking a little bit about our African trip, Global Champagne, which is coming up. City College is having a scare fest in tunnels with all kinds of different types of scary things. So if you want to bring your children someplace on the 31st to come to City College, there are tunnels under City College all over the place.
Okay.
And the theatrical department takes kids through the tunnels and all of that stuff. So anyway, we'll talk a little bit about that. Charlene, thank you. Until next
Thank you, Tony.
week,
Take care.
we'll be good. And again, thanks for William Diaz Jr. And Matt McCoy, appreciate your help. This is Tony Rogers signing off. See you next week.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
Urbanology.